Give them a shot to do what?
We are on the road to WrestleMania. I am Jeff Martin alongside my co-host, the trendsetter, Brian Berga, and you're watching HSP on the Give Us a Shot Network. Follow us on all our social media. But first, make sure you give us a like and subscribe here on the Give Us a Shot Network here on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single second of HSP on Give Us a Shot. Now you can follow us on all our social media at iSpot Podcast. So make sure you also check us out on all podcast platforms. So if you can't watch us, make sure you listen to HSP on Apple Podcasts, on iHeart, on Spotify, and all those amazing, amazing podcast platforms. Trendsetter, we are on the road, less than 30 days away from WrestleMania in Las Vegas. Lots to discuss. That's right, we're on the road. That's it. Getting on that plane soon and hitting Sin City. All right, Trendsetter. Lots to discuss. We'll get to John Cena because that is obviously the topic that everybody wants to get to. We'll get to that. But, of course, we had Friday Night SmackDown. We had SmackDown early in the afternoon, so we were able to catch up. We were able to come and give you a SmackDown recap as well. What I got out of it is that 3 hours is way too long. It really is. I don't know why they were set on doing a 3-hour show on the USA Network for SmackDown. We've seen on Netflix that 2.5 hours works. It's ideal. Maybe 2 hours 15, but you don't want to go past that because it just is too much. I get the fact that there are a lot of superstars. I get that there's a way to maybe do more stories, but it's killing the product and as far as the attention span because we're focused on WrestleMania. Some of these things are just kind of like twisting in the wind, I would say, and we're not really paying attention to the focal point of WrestleMania. We only got like a 15-minute segment with Punk, Roman, and Seth, which is crazy, though, on a 3-hour show. I would have figured to go like the Cena and Cody Rhodes thing where it went like 25 minutes. We didn't get that. So going back, first and foremost, I think SmackDown has a problem. Now, are they going to go back to less than 3 hours? I would hope so. Whether it's a 2-hour show, whether it's a 2.5-hour show, the first thing we got to talk about is that SmackDown is way too long.
Listen, initially I agree with you. It is too long. 3-hour format has proven it doesn't work on Raw. Initially in the beginning, now with Netflix, it can go 3 hours, 2.5 hours, hour and 15, like Triple H said, right? For a 3-hour show on SmackDown, I was initially happy because I thought you had more talent to work with on SmackDown. You could promote more. You could do things, all the same theories that I had when we were talking about Raw, right? But it just seems from a production standpoint, it does run stale. Now, again, you can defend it by saying, hey, I have an opportunity to showcase more talent, more stories, but we're on the road to WrestleMania. Everyone's focused right now on the main storylines. You could try to do that, but a lot of these storylines now feel kind of forced or rushed as we're approaching WrestleMania. So, yeah, from a production standpoint, a 2-hour show just fits better, in my opinion, too. It flows better. At that point, there's no time to waste, and you're not going 2 or 3 segments of either one of two things. Individuals talking that it just goes super, super long, unlike a John Cena and Cody Rhodes, or like you said, you want to see CM Punk, Roman, and Seth talk longer, but it was cut for whatever reason. You have a 3-hour show, you would think that'd be the opposite, right? And then for 2 hours, a lot of things get cut out. So I agree with you. I think a 2-hour show works well. 3 hours, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but for the most part, it's been pretty stale for a 3-hour show.
And the thing is, too, like, they are putting an emphasis on the tag team division, which is good, which everybody's saying, hey, tag team wrestling is dead, right? But WWE's trying to do it. You have a lot of females there, and you want to give them the storylines as well. And they're doing it to an extent, but just for some reason, 3 hours has just not worked on SmackDown. It just really hasn't. And I think 2.5 hours is ideal. I think that's the most. Not to mention all the content that we get every week. We get in 2.5 hours of Raw, 2 hours of NXT. If you're watching TNA on a Thursday, if you're watching Dynamite 2 hours, you're getting that on a Wednesday night, Friday Night SmackDown. And, it's just, to me, it's a lot of content. And it's a good thing, but also a bad thing. And this is why exactly your attention span only is good enough for 2.5 hours tops. 2 would be great. 2.5 is also ideal. But 3 is just killing the product. Now, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and CM Punk, I guess what the theory is, or what the answer is going to be, is that they don't want to give you everything in one episode. That's why they want to give you a little bit and then maybe extend it towards next week so you have a build for Mania. But still, though, I mean, the entrances are long enough for all these guys. And it just seemed like, they got into the fight really fast. I really would love to hear more of interaction with Punk and Roman. I've seen the CM Punk and Seth interaction. We know what the friction is there. We got a little bit of the, you owe me the favor to Paul Heyman too, which adds that little intricacy here of what exactly is the favor and who is Paul Heyman going to side with. You never know. The proverbial wild card is Seth Rollins. Could Paul align himself with Seth, which is also a rumor that people are trying to see what's going to happen and trying to theorize of how this storyline is going to go. But I just really think that this is, to me, one of your main events for WrestleMania, whether it's night 1 or night 2, most likely night 1. But do you think that the reason why that we're not getting that battle yet is because they want to save it? Or is it because, I mean, that's the only reason why, I think, too, right? That's the only reason that they want to save it, because we have still a few more weeks leading into WrestleMania, right? But I just felt that it was too rushed to fight.
Not just rush; it just seems out of place. Like I mentioned before in the beginning, we were talking about the length of SmackDown. Is it sufficient enough? Is it too long? Is it too short? Would the 2-hour show suffice and be better than a 3-hour show? But you think within a 3-hour show, listen, comparing it to Raw, and we're going to talk about Raw eventually too, about the whole Cody Rhodes, John Cena. You basically had almost a half hour, over 25-minute segment between John and Cody. You couldn't get that on SmackDown, knowing it was going to be a long show, that you couldn't have allowed that to happen. Now, if I'm trying to think like WWE and say, you know, why was it cut short? It's maybe they're trying to tease it. Now we had both Roman, Seth, and CM Punk. Seems like everyone's getting to a skirmish nowadays where you need security, and security can't do its damn job to save their life. But everyone's pointing at the WrestleMania sign. That's the thing now. And so now we're getting the foreshadowing that, you know, what you said, you alluded to as well, that this could be a main event. Nothing has been official yet from WWE standpoint, but we kind of assume they're going to go in that direction. They're milking it, but I don't know why you would do it at this point. You're 4 weeks away from WrestleMania. Why would you want to keep waiting and turning this build? People kind of know the direction it's going into, so that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I really feel it's been mishandled, mismanaged. From the build to Royal Rumble, and you and I talked about it before, it looks like we're going in that direction in terms of where the title picture is going, and that Roman and Seth and CM Punk didn't look like they're going to be in that picture. You know, we still had Elimination Chamber at that time, but now it looks like it's foreshadowing that. I don't know why you're milking it. I don't know why they're doing this brawl, which to me, if you wanted to do it, I would probably save it maybe the week before the go home show.
Right, you don't want them to touch, kind of, right?
Yeah, I don't want them.
Early.
Let's let them bicker off the microphone. Let's them hit each other personally and take shots or do a shoot promo. That's what I wanted to see, kind of what you alluded to.
Unless Roman can't handle Punk.
I mean, listen, I mentioned it to you before, right? When Seth came out, you could tell he's emotional because of the history the two of them have, right? When that CM Punk music hits, he moves his shoulders like that, you know, Punk was hitting him with some truths. I hate to give credit, but I'll give credit to CM Punk. He was hitting him with a lot of truth bombs, and looked like Roman, all he could do is kind of just make these faces, you know, that's getting under my skin, but no response whatsoever. And trying to give the illusion like it wasn't affecting him, but it was getting to him.
So we kind of go by sections here with SmackDown, and then we move on. But there's a lot of branches that we can branch off here, and I'm going to do that for this segment because it just seems to me that with WrestleMania, are you feeling that same hype from last year? I know with The Rock and everything, and we want to see Cody's story, and there was just like, oh, you don't know what's going to happen. That questioning of like, there's so many ways they could have gone with this. There seems to be that way with Cena and Cody, which we'll get to, that, hey, that could go in different ways because of Cena's heel turn, which is unexpected. And then there's different avenues that they can go with Cena, Punk, and Roman, but it just seems like the other matches are just like, I don't know. It just seemed like there's like this energy that's missing where I'm going to get to this point, Trendsetter. Do you think right now WWE is doing too much? And I'll give you one thing. For WrestleMania, okay? They're doing 2 nights. charging extreme prices here in Vegas. I get it, everything is overpriced in Vegas, but they only have 44 and 45,000 for night 1 and night 2. Obviously, they want to fill that place up. I would assume that they would have wanted at least 60,000, and people were paying these crazy prices. Go back to the Royal Rumble in Indy, go back to these UK shows, go back to these overseas. People are paying up the wazoo, right? Not so much next week in the O2 Arena. From what I saw last week, there's a lot of seats available, and it's the pricing that is hurting WWE, which, listen, they have every right to, right? But I think what they're doing too much. So they're doing that. Then all of a sudden they're announcing the Slammies. Then they're doing all these signings. Then it's the World. Then Triple H. You can have dinner with Triple H for this obscene amount of money. You can have dinner with John Cena for like basically like a mortgage. $25K to mean John Cena. They're doing the Slammies. They're doing all these things. Triple H is going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. It just seems like they're branching themselves way too much. And now they're doing, like, for example, now they're worried about Evolve. Now they're doing this LFG show, which is just weird. It just seems like they're everywhere. And I get it. When you're a big company, you're going to expand. And this is, to them, they might see it as a positive. Hey, we're doing way too much. But I just think that this year, there's just way too much stuff going on that, like, all of a sudden they're announcing the roast now with Tony Hinchcliffe, whatever. It won't be televised, but that's also something else to do. It's like they're putting all these events, whatever, but they're not just, to me, they're not focusing on the sole thing, which is Mania. Before we get back to SmackDown, do you think that's accurate? Do you think that they're just branching themselves way too out, and eventually they're going to price themselves out, especially when you look at the attendances for Mania on nights 1 and night 2?
A lot to dive into right there. To your last question here, in terms of, do you feel like they're spreading themselves out way too thin? Yeah, I think so, but I can't blame them, though, because when you've had the momentum of the buildup where this whole regime change happened, and the success, the amazing success of WrestleMania 40, of what they did numbers wise and everything they put out in Philadelphia, I can't blame them and say that they're wrong for doing all this, because, like you said, that we've talked about it, even leading towards the Royal Rumble, man. Just like, it's hot right now. WWE is hot. It's not reflective, of course, on the seating. I think a lot of that has to do with just the ridiculous pricing they're putting out there, and they're kind of figuring out that, hey, it's hot. They're going to pay money, whatever the cost is, to go see it. There are some limits to that as well. But I think, yes, they are spreading themselves out way too thin. So many events going on, which from a fan standpoint, you love, because there's so many things to do. It's not just the basic routine thing where it's Hall of Fame, then WrestleMania, and that was it. And now we have a night 1 and night 2, Hall of Fame, the Raw go home show, the SmackDown go home show, and then the Raw the night after WrestleMania, and just continually builds more and more. From a business standpoint, from being an optimist here, yeah, why wouldn't I build off the momentum and keep building? And if it doesn't work out, at least I can't say I haven't tried or try to expand. Now, when it comes to the feeling of WrestleMania, this has been a different feeling. And like I said, for 39 and 40, it was different. And again, I'm not just focusing on the whole Cody Rhodes finish the story thing, but I think from this standpoint, going into 39 and 40, I think the fans wanted to see Cody and Roman again after 39. So that was built in the minds of how they were going to get
Brilliant move. Yeah.
Even if it didn't happen. And like I said, The Rock had filled in that position, which was the controversy that happened, after the Royal Rumble or before the Royal Rumble, that was going to happen. There were still talks of, oh my God, we're going to get Rock and Roman and this and that, or what's going to happen. But you had a singular focus of where the direction was going. Now, with this, it's a little bit different, because now Cody's the champion. Roman's not in the title picture, but it really feels, as much as this whole Cena turn, which we're going to talk about in a few, has made the main event more exciting, because I originally thought it was going to be CM Punk, and I thought that was going to be amazing, because CM Punk was going to get his main event spot. He was going to go for the title. The rumors of, was he going to sell his soul to The Rock and stuff like that. Now it ends up being Cena. It was even more monumental, but knowing that Cena might be his way out the door and out of the debate whether he's going to win the title or not is one thing, but it creates more excitement. But there was excitement in the beginning before the Royal Rumble. And that has not been there, and it's still not there yet. I don't know if the closer we approach it, we're gonna feel it, but I haven't had the same excitement like I had in WrestleMania 40.
Thank you. And it's just, to me, everything just seems like it's wrong. Like it's wrong. How is Roman Reigns not in the main event? How is he not vying for one of the championships? Just in logic. If the backstage they say, hey, listen, Roman won't have his schedule is not what it's going to be for him to be the champion, and Cody's going to have to carry it because he's going to be the face, or if he's going to drop it to Cena, fine. I don't know that backstage, but if I just going off of watching this, how is Roman Reigns not involved in a picture here, in a title picture here? How is CM Punk not main eventing WrestleMania night 1 against Gunther? And again, listen, Jey Uso's popular, so I'm not taking anything from Jey Uso, but some of this stuff just doesn't pop. And as much as we're talking about Gunther and Jey Uso, here's what worries me about that is that what's next for Jey? It's like, oh, we're pulling for the underdog, but then what happens when the underdog wins? It's the perfect case. I always go back to Daniel Bryan winning WrestleMania 30, because after that it was just like, oh, okay, we were so excited, but you have to have something coming up next. And so to me, I don't want to fall back on Roman all the time, but I mean, while he's there, he has to be in the main event, or something had to be different here. Now, obviously, this all leads to why, because I don't think making John Cena heel was the right move. And now, listen, we're going to move into Raw. So, but I just feel like going back to this anticipation for WrestleMania. Yes, that feeling, that vibe is there. And if it's your first WrestleMania or you're playing with the family, by all means go, because it is a great feeling. It's a great experience to at least go to one. You're going to get to see John Cena in his final match, in his final WrestleMania appearance. So, and against Cody Rhodes, the biggest face. So that there is a reason to go. But if you're going to tell me, would I much rather see Cody finish his story or see John Cena win number 17? Crazy enough, I'd much rather be at WrestleMania 40.
Yeah. No, because again, a lot of the fans were invested in that. They're invested for 2 years, which was a risky thing to do in this day and age, because the big debate back then is long-term storytelling. Does that exist anymore? It does, but in that same token, too, it can be taken in the wrong direction, because when you kind of just how can I describe this? There were creative standpoints in that whole Cody story with Roman that made you continually always hope and anticipation that was going to happen. With this scenario now, with John Cena and then what's going on with the world title picture, it just feels like it's being placed, and because they have so much time, because, as you spoke about before, sometimes it might be oversaturated, where it's too long of a SmackDown, or that wasn't a good Raw, or NXT wasn't like they're slowly, like, they have an idea of what they want. But last year it's kind of like, well, we don't know what's going to happen, and we spend the whole time about the main storyline, but we didn't know how certain things were going to go. This is kind of similar to other years in the past, where, like, I kind of know the direction they're going in. Now, they surprised me with the Royal Rumble and what happened with Cena. That was a curveball, and again, that's the excitement of being a fan. But now we kind of know where it's set. So these last 4 weeks going to WrestleMania, it's more like, what more can we do? Is something going to change? And very unlikely any title picture is going to change. Very unlikely any women's title picture is going to change. So you're not necessarily main events, but your matches that are going to lead the card are set. Now it's the secondary ones, which kind of lose appeal to a certain degree.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. But again, too, here's another thing. So I guess around Survivor Series, and we kind of get that feel for Mania, right? It's November, fine, but then usually you feel it in January as you lead into the Royal Rumble. And this year was February, because WrestleMania is late this year. But like Triple H, I know he said something where, to the point where it was like, well, this year we've got Saturday night's main event. We've got 2 Saturday night's main event. We have to treat that as something. We have to do this and that. So that's where I think is they're spreading themselves way too much. And again, I apologize if I said they're spreading themselves out way too thin, because that's just to me, that's like it's not an accurate comparison. You're spreading yourself too thin, and there's just, again, Saturday night's main event they have to do too, and then there's just a lot of events before the Royal Rumble where you just lead in, and no, you have to have a break in the story that goes into that. To me, I just think that it just could have been done a lot better. And as we head into the whole Cena thing and discuss, I'll tell you why I think at the end of the day it wasn't a good idea. While obviously him turning heel is monumental,
You're right, Jeff, and just wanted to piggyback off what you
No,
just
well,
said.
yeah.
In terms of Saturday Night's Main Event and all these things they're doing for Crown Jewel and things like that, this goes back to the debate you and I were talking about before, where it'd be like, wow, look at this match. Do you want to save this for WrestleMania? Do you not want to save it? And then, some of the discussions back and forth with you and I were like, well, no, why are you going to save it? You need it for Saturday Night's Main Event. You need to build up that audience. You need to build it up for a Crown Jewel to make it WrestleMania like. My feeling is when you try to make all these events into a version of WrestleMania, by the time you get to WrestleMania, people are either exhausted or you've used up all your resources. You're like, okay, well, this wasn't like at Saudi Arabia. This wasn't like at Saturday Night's Main Event.
Can I tell you where everything went off the tracks for me?
When?
January 6th, Raw on Netflix. To me, that was where things just kind of went off track. Because yes, we got CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and they fought there, which was fine. But the whole thing to me where it went off rails when Roman beat Solo Sikoa, and it was for Ulafala and whatever. Because after that, it just seems like, okay, so the bloodline, that thing just died, and after being told we're in I'm sorry, we're in the fifth inning, sixth inning, the bottom of the seventh, it just seemed like it just died. And listen, that's a credit to just Jey Uso becoming a superstar and not needing to be in the bloodline, right? And then Jimmy being injured on and off, and then coming back, and now he's doing a solo thing. And then Solo's it just damaged to me Solo, Jacob, and Tama. It just seemed that just took everything out of whack, and it just seemed like ever since then, you try to build that as a huge event because it's the first Raw on Netflix, and you try to make it this big, like you were talking about WrestleMania, but then it just seemed like they I don't know, it just seemed like Triple H was like, let's just kill the storyline here with the bloodline, and it's like now it's not even talked about. I don't even know what Solo, Tama, and Jacob are.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And
it's very true. We felt that Solo needed to win this one to establish that version of the bloodline. Roman didn't really need it. Also, would have built more sympathy for him, not regaining his Ulafala and now trying to go for the title. So it's this different version of Roman who doesn't have his bloodline with him anymore, which could continue in the future where the two of them meet again, either for the Ulafala or to, create the
WrestleMania. But again, though, too,
it didn't happen.
But spreading themselves thin because they're like, we can't wait till Mania. We have to get this done by January 6th. Oh, well, listen, we have the world, everyone's watching. Netflix, they're all going to be, the world is watching that day. We got to give them a show.
And that's probably one of the things I disagree with Triple H too, where like after that night one of the Netflix show on Raw, he had a press conference, which you never see press conferences for Raw, but it was a special event for Netflix. And he's like, next week's just another Monday. Well, if it was just another Monday, then why do we have to do this? I understand why they did it because it's your debut on Netflix. You want to draw appeal to it. But when you're using up all your bullets, no pun intended here, for people who are sensitive about guns and stuff, but when using them all up, you kind of run out. You run out of ammo, and you have no more steam going towards WrestleMania, which I feel that's kind of the feeling that I have right now, where that excitement isn't there anymore.
That is where I think everything went off rails because I watched it and I was like, yeah, you can't have Roman lose. You can't feel people got to go home happy. And then you saw and then I think it's from when The Rock came out, and we get why now because it all kind of intertwined where he was nice to Cody and all that and stuff like that, and it kind of made sense with the whole thing, whatever that. Fine, but as soon as he came out like that, I was like, what? Like it was just weird. And ever since that January 6th, yes, WWE is hot. I can't say it. They're selling out stuff. It's crazy. The crowds overseas, but it just seems like everything was out of whack since then as far as momentum with storylines. It just seems like it was, there are positives. Don't get me wrong, but it just seems like after that bloodline feeling, you lost that aura with now it's Roman's the individual, not Roman's the whole time he propped up people. Let's give him credit, but it just seems like it just seems Solo was left behind. It just seems like I would have
behind, but there's all in flux with the whole bloodline story.
Exactly, I think that's where the root of it is. And yeah, trust me, Sammy had a run. He had, now he's out because of the whole Kevin Owens thing, selling the injury. Jey Uso's having this run where he's got the world title. Roman helped these people, but it just seems like with the success of the individuals, the group hurt, and that inning that we were in just seemed to like, okay, it seemed like it was like range shortened, and it was just whatever, you know. It ended in 7 innings, and it just, to me, ever since January 6th, Raw on Netflix, it just seems like something's been missing. I don't know. I just think that's when I just started noticing it.
It's
And
like
then
what's
again,
your favorite TV series? You know, it's
Yeah.
great, and all of a sudden you get a season 4, and you're like, what happened? What was the rest of the stuff that was building up toward it, and it just ended for whatever reason, whether it was
yeah, I
canceled.
don't know. Like that's where I think things kind of went not off the rails, but I just think things have just
Changed. Yeah.
changed to me. See, it just that's what I've wanted to say, because this whole momentum, this build up. A lot of people say like, "Oh, the whole Cena Cody thing." Just when I thought that I wasn't get into it, this has gotten me into it. Yeah, it is getting me into it. Don't get me wrong. It's just a different vibe. So we got Jade and Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan has showed why she is the MVP of the women's division. Actually, her and Jade had a really good match. Naomi comes out, gets kind of like semi-revenge on Jade Cargill, but the breaking news and the big story is that Liv Morgan is over in Italy. And Jade Cargill had a hell of a good comeback match, even though she didn't get the win. And we get it why, because of Naomi's interference. I'm not sure. Maybe there could have been a DQ or something like that, but to have Jade lose in her first match back, I'm not sure about that. But it sets up the feud that we're going to get individual feud between Naomi and Jade, and they're going to fight at WrestleMania. But Liv Morgan, just to me, her stock is off. It's through the roof right now. I mean, she is. And here's another thing too. These you have a whole load of talent. And I know you're going to have maybe like 7 matches per night or something like that, right? I would say 8, just whatever.
Yeah.
Because these people deserve to be on the card. Liv Morgan deserves to be in the card. You can't be Triple H or anybody and tell me, well, you know, some people just can't make that WrestleMania. No, that's bullshit. Liv Morgan deserves to be on that card. Yeah. And she's not on yet. I don't want to see 2 weeks later, oh, we're going to have a tag team tornado match. Whatever. No, man. Like, she deserves to be in a match. And we thought it was going to be for the tag team titles, but it just seems like there's right now, I don't know what the other tag team is going to be. Alexa Bliss, there was thought that she was going to back with the White Six, and maybe she was going to form a tag team or something, and they were going to go against Judgment Day or something. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But Liv Morgan deserves to be on. Chad Gable deserves to be on WrestleMania, right? I mean, all these people that, the list goes on. Let's even just say, it seems like the Roxanne Perez and Bayley feud kind of fizzled. I haven't seen Roxanne Perez on the main roster. Well, I've seen her on the main roster, but it just seems like that storyline just fizzled. So I like there's a lot of stuff to me that I don't know what is what's going on, and I would think that these people should have a defined role now with like a few weeks before WrestleMania, like less than 30 days.
Listen, you'll never hear me say this ever, Jeff, ever, right? So it's first time. Mark it on the tape, and we'll watch this in the past, right? But for the first time ever, I need to say and sit back here and say, I need to give WWE the benefit of the doubt. As much as you and I are critiquing things and we're feeling like we're not getting that feeling towards WrestleMania, or, for example, these storylines are not developing as you and I'm sure a lot of people, the members of the crew, are thinking it's going to play itself out. You talked about Liv Morgan, and the no question about it, no argument needed, the MVP of that women's division, in my opinion, because of what she's done. I mean, a woman who literally had probably a one-off with Rhea Ripley, turned that into a gigantic feud that lasted God knows how many months, to where she is now. It's a revenge tour now. It's her really just emphasizing the fact that she is a viable commodity. She's an asset to the WWE women's division, not just the women's division, but the WWE in terms of the attention and the audience that she brings, right? But to the point here where, like, in the past, we've done this before, Jeff. We've talked about a SummerSlam or talk about the Royal Rumble, and then WWE has found out some way. Triple H, Paul Levesque has found out some way of surprising us and saying, okay, well, we kind of doubted it, and they proved us wrong in a certain way, too. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but I need to give them the benefit of the doubt that a lot of these questions we have, they have 4 weeks. They have a month to get this on the right track to a certain degree, meaning making things more understandable for us to watch. So let's see what they do here. So I'm going to give them a little bit more time leading to WrestleMania. If we're 2 weeks away and we're talking about this, then there's a problem.
I'm not saying the sky is falling, because I'd love to have their problem, right? Because
yeah, we'd love to have that problem,
right? So this guy's not falling, folks, but I'm just saying that it just seems like something's missing. You know, Tiffany and Charlotte.
Oof.
You saw their back and forth, and I don't know if here's the thing though. I don't know if Charlotte's cooking her because the way that Charlotte's coming back, I think she thinks she's a better heel than she is, just because I think Tiffany's too respectful on the mic, and I don't think she's letting Charlotte have it. I get it why. You got to respect, obviously the GOAT, right, in Charlotte. But I just think that this whole time that Tiffany finally had her chance to, retaliate last week, and unless you're blind and missed it, she had two big spots, and I think the second was a makeup spot, right? Yeah. And she missed both by a lot, and that was it. And I have not heard of people saying that was a big deal, but to me it was. And then now this promo, and Tiffany just didn't seem like confident. And if you have the situation where Charlotte's going to win, which the inkling is everybody thinks that Charlotte's going to win, it really would be a step back for Tiffany, because then she'd only be remembered for cashing it in, because I don't think she's had a memorable feud besides this one. And then for Charlotte to say that she felt pity for her, that's why right away, it just, to me, is like devaluing the title and also Tiffany. So it's dangerous to me to have the idea that Charlotte is going to win, unless it's, I don't know, I can't think of a positive way where Charlotte beating Tiffany would be would catapult or would make Tiffany's character image look strong. I don't think she could. I think it'd be a long time before you could salvage Tiffany Strad.
Well, to the point you just made, if Tiffany loses and Charlotte wins, yeah, that's you're basically destroyed someone before you can actually build them up again. Is it possible to build her back up? Yeah, but it's going to take a while if you do that and have Charlotte come and win at WrestleMania, which we'll talk about as it approaches and we talk about the card. Here's the thing that I notice more. I don't mind Charlotte saying what she's saying, her being the type of heel that she's being. If it's a shoot or not, I don't know. And at that point, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, because that's what she wants. She wants you to hate her. She wants to despise her. She's going to take shots at you, whether they're legit shots or they're just, talked about between the two individuals. I don't know, but that's what you want. You don't want your heel to make your babyface look like they're worthy of it, or make it look like they're deserving of the position they're in, right? Like even Charlotte made the comment too, like, you're just blonde, whatever, and you're lucky if you have just because you do flips, you got a job here, and you're lucky if you get a job by by next year or something like that. It's a nice little jab there. What I'm frustrated is the fact that Tiffany became so popular when she was a heel, and this goes back to something you and I talked about before in the past when I compared it to Seth Rollins, where when Seth Rollins became a babyface, it just didn't feel right, because you're like, it doesn't seem authentic. That's not him. This version of Seth works because, he can be a jerk at times, but again, that's his character, and people like that about him, right? And so he kind of found himself. With this Tiffany, the Tiffany we saw in NXT and the Tiffany we saw here when she came to SmackDown, she was so full of herself, had all this confidence in era. She didn't care what people thought about her. She would, literally insult you. Doesn't care like how many tenure you had or how many years in the business you had. She didn't care because it was all about her. I miss that version of Tiffany. I really do. This Tiffany, like, I worked hard day in and day out. That's not the Tiffany Stratton I know. I want Tiffany to throw it right back at Charlotte.
We talked about that, how like you can make a baby face too early and it can't be organic. I would have loved if what messed up Tiffany was her being so submissive to Nia Jax, because that whole thing, just to me, at the end of the day, yeah, okay, she's submissive and then she finally cashes it in, but I still have that whole submissive Tiffany, and she won it because she was happy-go-lucky and kind of a little ditzy, instead of like somebody that was stuck up and a princess, right? I would have loved if right away Charlotte, they put her and Tiffany, they keep her image, and they had her as a tag team, and they went for the tag team titles as heels, and then they have a little run, and then you add that little dissension towards the end, and then you have Tiffany turn face. That to me would have been an ideal way of Charlotte, reintroduce Charlotte back slowly, have her go with the tag team titles, build a long feud with Tiffany. But the whole Nia Jax thing, it worked because everyone rooted for her when she won, but it kind of also you leave that long lasting image that Tiffany is this face that is just like she doesn't belong with Charlotte.
She doesn't fit the character of a babyface, Tiffany, and
No.
it doesn't seem authentic. It seems like it's forced, and that's why I think the fans are rejecting. That's why I think the fans aren't excited for this match, because when Charlotte came back, she was supposed to be cheered and loved, and people booed her out of the building. So what did WWE do? They went in an opposite direction. Okay, now we're gonna have the Charlotte Flair, the Queen, the one that everybody hates. You work with what you got, right? This whole version of Tiffany, I just, as much as I love her, and I think she has the it factor and can have, the ceiling, sky's the limit for her. I just don't think this version of hers is working, and I don't want it, because I feel it's hurting her in the reality of the fact that she could lose the title at WrestleMania. And if she does win, though, it also would hurt her, because I'm just like, oh, here we go again. It's like, now you're force feeding this version of a character that we don't want. Similar to Roman. When Roman first appeared as the Shield, he was this badass guy that we wanted in that position. But when the company was force feeding him and making him not be who he authentically was at that time, at that moment, before he figured out who he is as the tribal chief, people rejected it. And I think they're rejecting Tiff. I mean, they're still cheering for it, but I think this character is being rejected by a lot of fans in terms of the story.
I think it'll be rejected if she loses. I don't think they're rejecting her now, but if she loses, now listen, it could be a way where like Charlotte gets thrown off and we get Tiffany winning, and then maybe she underestimated Tiffany, and then maybe we continue a series. But to me, that'd be the way I would go with it. But anything besides that and Tiffany losing, you just kind of like hinder her baby face to me, because again, she hasn't come out like on top like at all. I don't care what I saw 2 weeks ago. That to me, that wasn't on top. That was to me somebody that you've never seen her made mistakes like that, and she's starting to make those mistakes, and you're like, what's going on here? At the worst time. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre seems like a match we're gonna get at WrestleMania. Finally got some juice today, but on Friday SmackDown. But they had their matches in the summertime. And I know it just doesn't seem like maybe it's better at Mania, but that's a feud that to me was like wasn't really anything captivating over the summer. We'll see what happens with Drew. I love Drew, and hopefully he gets put in the title picture after. But you got a lot of people. There's a lot of stars, and then you keep bringing in people. The teases for Ray Phoenix, for Aleister Black. They just keep getting people, and they're releasing parts, bit players, but they're not releasing major people, or they're not, it's crazy. There's a lot of people coming back, and so that's just that's just crazy, man. And just real quick, Damian and Drew, are you interested at all?
I'm interested in the match. I think they worked well together, got really good chemistry. I don't think they built up enough of the fact that Damian cashed in on him, and then once that was done, after their attempt, Drew went on to CM Punk, and then we never saw the conclusion of that. I don't think they've garnered that same momentum because it's been so long, and you thought you could build off that type of story, but they're really more talking about the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber, and not going back to the fact that Damian cashed in on Drew, ruined, along with CM Punk, his WrestleMania dream. There's more I think you could build off of that. In terms of match quality, it's going to be good. These two are going to be great in the ring, but I think it's really unfair in a position that, hey, listen, I'm leaning more towards Drew. I really felt he should have been in a title picture right now. I think he's done so much great work to now be in a singles fight. And this is an insult to Damian. Damian's been on our show before. We love Damian Priest, nothing but happiness for all success. But this character of Damian, I'm not liking too much. He's too much fan friendly. I don't like that version of it, but hey, it works for him. The crowd's behind him. He is over with them, and that you could definitely tell that WWE has, belief in him. But these two right now at this point in their careers right now, it really feels like it's just a placement filler for a match so that both of them can get on the show.
And then one thing, the Street Profits become the new tag team champions. They defended the titles against Legado del Fantasma this past Friday night. So it's good. It's a good change. It seems like they're really focusing on the tag team division. So we'll see what we get at WrestleMania. Maybe a fatal 4-way or something like that. But again, that's when you have a lot of people. It kind of looks like the WrestleMania 17 card and the 18 cards were like, let's get everybody in there in these triple threats. And that's what I'm saying. Money in the Bank, they'll never do it, but they should do Money in the Bank. They should bring that back. I wasn't a fan of it because I thought it was, but it got people on the card.
Yeah.
Right. So it got people on the card. So I would love for there to be a Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, just because you could do a men's and a woman's, and you get all of the people involved, because now there's gonna be a lot of people off this card. How many matches do you think we get each night? It can't be 5 each.
No, I was leaning more towards probably like we said 8 or 9 matches. Believe it.
8. I think that's what I think 7.
Because there's just so many people that it looks like want to get on this card, and you can justify that by saying it's 2 nights. To your point about Money in the Bank, yeah, that would have been cool, but they built a whole pay-per-view over it. Makes a lot of money for them. They're not going to do it. But ultimately, the way to defend it is you're not going to have a battle royal anymore, because you have 2 nights. You have the ability of putting a lot of people on the card that you want to, although Triple H would say otherwise, but it is the case.
Yeah, I mean, just guys like Andrade. Like, here's the thing: you bring Andrade back. You think Andrade is going to get another shot, and now all of a sudden,
great match with Jacob Fatu, and then what's been built off of it? Nothing.
He gets lost in the shuffle. And now guys like Rey Fenix and Aleister Black are going to come in, and he's just going to be lost in the shuffle again too. Guys like Nakamura had his run, and I'm surprised, dude. Like Nakamura, I'm shocked that it's gotten to this point.
Yeah,
there was talks about him leaving, most likely, and I think that, hey, listen, I can't think of anything else to do. I thought what once was a no-brainer to me is just like I'll never be able to put a finger on what happened. Why did he not relate to the WWE?
Hey, we do a whole show and that kind of stuff with people.
We should do stuff like that for content, right?
We will, but yeah, with that scenario,
Nakamura.
if I was Nakamura and I was talking to him, I'd probably say it would probably be best to go. I mean, right now, New Japan Pro Wrestling needs newer stars. They need people who are established right now, because they're not building stars right now. Nakamura would, I think, flourish in New Japan Pro Wrestling going back, but right now, I think Nakamura's time might be premature and out in WWE.
All right. A lot of stuff to this. It's WrestleMania. So there's just so much stuff. Real quick with NXT, it's the Stephanie Vaquer show, dude. Like, she's the double champion. Congratulations to her. She's fighting 2 people next week, Fallon Henley and Miss Jada Parker, for the Women's World Championship and for the North American. So kudos to her. We're getting the Trick Williams Obafemi lead in to Stand and Deliver. Ricky Saints. It just shows that even Ricky Saints can save us from a Ridge Holland match. Yeah,
you're right.
And I am not down with this 2.0 version of the Shield. I am not down with these guys. I mean,
give it time, Jeff. Give it time.
Yeah, these guys are just, to me, they're just, I have no idea who these people are. You got to have one established dude, something, whatever. Like, it just.
The Shield wasn't established when they started. True.
I don't know. These guys don't have the look. None of these guys has this look. Nobody stands out, if you ask me. And when they cut their first promo, they didn't stand out to me. But we'll get to NXT hopefully down the road. Listen, we got to talk about. We'll get to Dynamite for one segment here, but I want to start with I want to really get into the John Cena thing.
Okay.
A lot of stuff here with John Cena. So I had a little fun with the way John Cena would look like, and I had created a shirt and everything like that, and how he would make an appearance. If you follow us on our IG at High Spot Podcast, you saw some of the stuff that I put out there. Somebody had the thing where John Cena let the beard grow out and the wavy hair. Of course, that's not logical. It makes sense that would happen, but it was just funny if he came out like that. We had him in the what was his name? We still haven't even still.
No, I never even looked up his name.
Furious.
He was Dom's
Redo, right? That's right.
Jacob. I wouldn't know.
Jacob. Anyways, so
he's Swedish. Yeah, exactly. Swedish brother.
So we had that graphic too of what Cena would look like, and then in John Cena comes out. Let's just set the mood. I was excited. I was curious because I wanted to see this, because John Cena is a guy that he's about the business. Even if it was short notice, he's thought about this. It's in the back of his mind. He wants to make a presentation here, and he wants to make sure it's a memorable run, because this is a huge thing that he's done, turn heel. He comes out. Brussels is crazy crowd, one of the best crowds, that WWE's had. John Cena comes out, and he comes out to his my time. The time is now.
Jacob,
My
it was
time.
Jacob. Yeah.
Jacob, right? Good job there, our producer Brian. So comes out in the Brussels colored gear, got the towel, a little more serious. John Cena not playing off with Stu, not seeing him, just goes down, walks to the ring, methodical, walks in there, whatever, and then he does the "I'm breaking up with you," and man, you had to see it to believe it. And even when John Cena was talking smack to the crowd and making fun of, and insulting the kid, and it was surreal. You know, it was really surreal. And I think that he delivered the best he could do with the excuse. I would have loved him to dig in to the point where, like, I wanted him to reach to that Hogan promo from Nitro when he turned heel, when he's like, I was there for your kids, and I for all these years, and you have the audacity to deboo me. That is where I would love. I mean, he did it to an extent, but the breaking up part was great. But I would have loved him just to kneel and say, "How dare you boo me after all these years, all your kids, the hustle, loyalty, and respect," and then you know, and then now you act like you really don't see something like that. Would have been really cool. Him play off of it. And I think it delivered. But the thing is here, this works because we don't want to know everything with John Cena right now because he's not going to get in the ring. There's more promos coming. No mention of The Rock. So to you, because you were very opinionated about this, you text me right away. What was your thoughts on the John Cena? Because obviously you saw it a little bit more different than I did this past Monday.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here, Jeff, and tell you that what John Cena did was a failure. It wasn't. He reached the goal that he wanted to reach with the audience from the promo he did. Did it serve its purpose? Yes. Did it reach the goal that I'm sure he and WWE wanted? Yes. What I felt was it felt more of a whiny, complaining, and if that was the direction he was going in, then fine, you succeeded. But it was more of a whining, complaining of how bad he was being treated and how the fans were bullying. They were the bullies, not him. And what I really wanted to, and again, not to dive too much into like a Hogan promo, but maybe similar to a Final Boss / young Rocky Maivia promo where tell some truths here. I mean, I'm not saying what he didn't say wasn't true in his heart and what he was saying, but I would have really loved him to have been like, isn't this what you all wanted? Didn't you all want this from me? For 25 years, I've been sitting here smiling and being the good soldier, and now that I do this, you guys don't like it? Screw all of you, and vice versa. But again, I would have loved him to dive into that in terms of him feeling as if they're selfish and they've wanted him to do this and this. And the one thing I did like is when he said he kept fighting harder and kept winning and winning and winning, and then threw it back to the fans, and you guys all had to settle with your own pathetic. I love that. That's why I want to see more of John, not the more, and for you people that follow me and wear those t-shirts, you're just as, listen, I understand where it came from. So from a promo standpoint, was it success? Yes. It wasn't the promo that I was expecting. I was expecting John to say everything he wanted to say. Not that he didn't in his version, but the scenario that he has been one of the most polarizing figures in all of pro wrestling history, I feel, because of the fact, even more than Hogan, in my opinion, the reason why is because since day one, when he walked in, he was hated. He was cheered to a certain point when he became the doctor of thugonomics, and people liked that version because it wasn't this, wacky roll-up guy with the colored tights and stuff like that with the, no fade haircut back then. It was
a prototype, yeah.
It was a prototype. Now it's like, oh, we love the doctor of thugonomics. He became champion. People cheered him. But then they got sick and tired that the whole company was behind him and he was being force-fed down our throats, yada, yada, yada. But at that point, he became the most polarizing figure because no matter what he did, people were going to hate him. You're going to get those chants. I just wish he would have used that more in terms of saying, for the longest time, everyone, including you and I, would be like, this would be a great spot for a
I
heel
would
turn,
love
and they never got it. And now he's like, you have it now, and now you're complaining.
I would have loved him to get, and I like the fact where let's be honest, and there's another truth too. It's not that John Cena says you didn't deserve me to change my music or me to change my wardrobe or my appearance. The honest truth is WWE. Here's what to me doesn't make sense, and why I think it was a last minute move. Even though I don't want to credit Meltzer or whatever like that, whoever said it was a last second move. There's no way that you're going to do a farewell tour. And a guy like Cena that pushes merchandise, he pushes merchandise like crazy. Mm-hmm. You saw all the merchandise. And here's the problem with WWE. And again, I'm not one to tell them to do their business because they do. If he's a heel and he just said that, you got a lot of shirts in the back that you're counting on being sold. And he's just basically telling the fans to go screw yourselves, right? I loved your way and your take by gaslighting these motherfuckers and saying, just like you said, can you see me now? Mm-hmm. What do you think? This is what you wanted me to be all this time. You can and gaslight them and kind of patronize them. And that would have been so good. And not that, again, this is wrong, but this is why I think this is to me is man, this is at the end of the day, when this is all over, this is to me where WWE is, man, we went with this quick fix. We could have made all this money with John. Had we planned this out more and had we done this sooner? Because this heel run, Hogan got 3-4 years out of this run with NWO, the Wolfpack. John Cena's only give you 9 months. There's so much money left on the table, and that's not WWE style. It's not WWE style. They make money. They've made belts for hockey teams and professional teams now. They're getting into the rap game. They're doing this and that, and you're gonna tell me that you have your iconic GOAT that you call the greatest of all time, and you make such a historic move like this because you can play Hogan, Cena. Which one is more important? I'll let you guys do your own podcast and talk about that. But you're telling me that you're going to only get till December and certain dates for the heel turn? That's you're leaving way too much money on the table and so many opponents. This is so many opponents. Because I see people talking. I see people already making posters for Cena beating Cody and defend the title Money in the Bank against CM Punk. Yeah. Do you have time to build a rivalry in 9 months?
Well, they have history, so it's easier for them.
Okay, that's one way to think about it. They have a history, but to lead into that program, obviously they pulled the seed of Elimination Chamber. Where does The Rock? Is The Rock even needed in this aspect between Cody and Cena, or do you have Cody and Cena go and have them, or have Cody chase till December? Where John Cena has his final match in Boston, right? Mm-hmm. Does he get the title there? And that's his final match, and he walks out a heel. To me, it's like, wow. To me, it was just not well thought out, and it's weird by WWE not to have well thought out. They saved themselves last year. To me, they blindly fell into this. Holy shit, we struck gold here. We didn't even mean to.
The final
accident, right? Mm-hmm. By changing it around, it still worked better. But here, yes, you're thinking about let's sell out Allegiant Stadium. There's got to be a reason to consider why this stadium didn't sell out. When we went to SummerSlam 2 years ago, it didn't sell out. Then they were going to put Money in the Bank in Allegiant Stadium last time, and they had to move it to the MGM Grand. There's a reason why. There's some reason why that stadium doesn't sell out for WWE. Okay, and so. They're trying to fix it short term, and they're leaving so much money on the table for John Cena. You know what I mean? Because this is like a 2-3 year run. What do you think? Do you think at the end of the day this was a short term fix to get to Mania, giving up all this money here on the table, knowing that Cena's going to be gone in 9 months?
I'm pretty sure it was a last minute thing. To be honest with you, I don't know if this was necessarily planned for John ending his career with WWE. But John's a smart businessman too, and if that's the direction they want to go, but ultimately nothing was going to get done unless John was willing to do it. Now, I'm sure John would be like, well, if the company wants me to do it, I'll do it. If they feel it's best for me to do, and vice versa. I think he had built such a long-lasting loyalty from the company that they were like, they were expecting him to, be, the showcase. John Cena, you can't see me, these dates, whatever, and then right off into the sunset, resting on his laurels or, what he had built in his entire career as the hustle, loyalty, respect character. I really feel more that, again, I don't have any confirmation or any sources to say this, but it might have been that the tickets weren't moving as much. It might have been the fact, now, again, if it was the way I wanted to, which was CM Punk, who knows, maybe, but I think when they said, hey, we have the possibility of having a heel Cena go for number 17, possibly win it, and continue the end of his career as champion, breaking the record and having people hate him, I think they saw dollar bills there too. So in terms of hindsight 2020 as well, Jeff, they could have done the heel turn so many times in the past and decide not to because he was such a popular figure. Everything he was doing for charities, his merchandise was selling like crazy. He had his loyal fan base audience, which was, again, dominating in merch sales and dominating in terms of just the ultimate popularity of a John Cena, right? So, yeah, he could have done it. We've kind of longer, but at the same time, too, and you and I have talked about it, I'm sure we'll talk about it as the weeks go by, that, now that you do this, man, the matchups you could have here, the things you can continually do, you could extend John Cena's career maybe to another year, right? Because he's not all single time.
Hogan got 3 years. I know John Cena doesn't want to, like wrestle till the wheels come off, right? But you could have been like, John, give us next year's WrestleMania, and let's, you know what I mean? Because if you're going to do such a big thing like that, there's no way you leave money on the table.
Yeah, I get it. No, I get it. But I think in the scenario, the way they're building is that
that's a WCW wanted. That's a WCW.
No, it is. Yeah. You finally got what you wanted here, but it's only going to last a short period of time. So enjoy it, because when it's over, it's over. So I think in a way, that's a way of they're going to make money off of this on the short-term aspect of it.
Again, lots to discuss. And again, obviously, like, we can get into the whole Rhea getting involved here.
Real quick, you think Cody's living up to the hype of this man?
Yes. If anything, if their main goal, though, is to push Cody as the freaking man, then they're doing it. Because Cody, I don't care what people say of the logic. Hey, you kicked me in the nuts. I got to get retribution, right? And he got retribution on the mic because he punked out John Cena, called him a whiny bitch. And to me, that's fine. And he's going to get his comeuppance at WrestleMania. That's what he's looking forward to. And he's telling Cena, I don't want this John Cena. And Cody's walking around with his confidence because he's like, I want to beat this John Cena. So give me. So to me, that went well. And Cody, to me, the response for Cody Rhodes, if your goal is, I'm going to lose money with John eventually down the road, and I'm going to make all this money with Cody being V-Man, then to me it works, because Cody came off looking really strong, and that was really good sign, because again, Cody needed that. Cody's got that Roman thing, and it was very hard to find another Roman feud after he won the title, right? And this to me is as close as you're going to get here. And so I think, though, would it hurt Cody to lose at WrestleMania?
We'll talk about that when we break down the card.
Exactly. Would it hurt his momentum, or is the chase worth the loss at Mania, which we'll discuss too, and then
I can't wait to discuss that with you.
And then Rhea is going to get involved in this triple threat match. They stole the playbook with the HBK contract signing. Again, we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that as well. But the whole John Cena thing, man, it was well done, but I just think it's WWE's crazy to leave that money off the table, man. There's a lot of money to be made with John Cena heel turn. 9 months, it's way too short. The last thing I want to get to is, I'm not going to harp on it. We're going to just talk about it real quick, is Jon Moxley and Cope. And the rating was the rating. It's the average rating. It's the normal rating that they get. But I talked about this before. I don't lose sleep over if AEW makes money or not, or whether Tony cares if he is losing people, viewership, or they're not making ad sales, if they lose advertisers. What I think is, though, if you're running a business and you want to see it grow, What bothers me is that you continually do the same. It's kind of frustrating because as an entrepreneur, you are trying to learn from these businesses, especially privately owned ones. And you're like, okay, don't make the same mistake. This is not working. Fix it. But they continue to appease that small niche audience that loves the wrestling. And I'm talking about that gimmick with the pick and going into Jon Moxley's back. Now they love it. They probably go crazy for it in the back. They're rooting and hollering, going, yeah, 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 and Ospreay's doing another flip and everything like that. But hey, if that's what you want to do, if that's who you want to continue to cater to, I'm not gonna care. So be it. They say the options don't watch it. But the only problem is that some people are gonna get tired of it. You can only see that same thing over and over and over. A Monday night on a still winter day in March in Omaha. No offense, Omaha, I love you. What's the significance if I'm going to see that on a Monday night in Omaha? And the problem is too is that those people are going to be like, oh, I've seen it already, and then they're going to start clicking away. And then when people stop watching it, and heaven forbid you lose viewership, and Warner Brothers isn't happy with the ratings, and then it goes bye. Don't be going like, oh, why'd they take my show off the air, whatever? Because I don't want to hear it. Because I'm not going to lose sleep over what you do. Edge has proven to me that he was built by WWE, and you let him go, and this is what he's doing. And Mox, I'd shake my head with what he does, but hey, he's a leader. He'll take one for the team. He's fine for a company that won't exist in 2 years or a year or whatever because it won't find a home for TV. I don't know. I just think you need to adapt better. You can have these things. I don't mind it. I love blood, whatever, stuff like that. But you got to pick your spots. It just can't be every freaking day. You know what I mean? It just loses its meaning. Like, oh, blood. Okay. Oh, he took an axe to the head and the forehead. Oh, look, it's lodged in there. And then we see it next week. It just,
Yeah, listen, man. I think you described it well enough. I was letting you have your moment there, but listen, I need to preface this by saying this: that I want nothing, honestly, if you guys believe me or not, and I really do mean this. I want nothing but for AEW to be successful. I want to continue for years to come, right? But the difficult part of it, from when its first inception and when Jeff and I first watched it, and we're really excited about it, it was so much because of the unknowing potential that it could have been. And then you saw the direction it was going in. You're like, oh, wow, this is a pretty interesting alternative because we're going to see things that we had never seen before, whether you're watching WWE or any other promotion. We're going to see things in terms of, opening the forbidden door and having cross promotions and stuff like that. So AEW has been innovative in that way, where it's showcased things we haven't seen before in the past when it came to the inception of what All In was all about. And then All Elite Wrestling was the birth child of that, right? The thing is that I feel like the direction they're going in now, which, listen, if you want to have a specific niche of audience and that's all you want to focus on, who am I to tell you not to do that? Or fine, perfectly fine. But if you're looking at it from a company standpoint of growing and expanding to a different and bringing newer audiences and wider audiences there, then I feel like the direction you're going is not going to showcase that at all. Now, you can change streaming platforms. You can, get contracts with other companies. I'm sure there'll always be a network or a streaming platform that will put your product on the air. But the scenario is, will people get tired of it? And now I really look at AEW and I give the comparison to another promotion that I loved deep within my heart. And I'm dating myself when I say this, but I loved ECW. I loved it for what it presented because it was something different from what I normally watched. It was violence that I enjoyed watching. I'd stay till 2 a.m. to see it because I wanted to see it. And it was a crowd and a fan base that was so loyal to that. But to what Paul Heyman would say is that a promotion like ECW, and comparing it, I'm like, they're two different promotions, but in comparison here, ECW is meant to be a burning star to shine bright and then explode because you couldn't do that long-term wise. The style in which they did was different and innovative, which led to the Attitude Era and things that WCW did during the Monday Night Wars. But it was a different era that provided you something different, but it was not long lasting. You couldn't sustain it. In this scenario, not only do I feel the things that they do in the ring with the athletes that they have is not sustainable long term, but my also frustration with this, Jeff, is the fact that you're having for your world championship match Jon Moxley, Edge, Adam Copeland, whatever you want to call him now, 2 ex-WWE guys promoting your title and trying to bring your company to elevate it when it should be guys like MJF and guys that you're trying to build. My biggest frustration with AEW is that they're not building stars. And then they sign these people who I've never heard of before, and they come to the indie scene, and the crowd might know who they are, but the general audience watching Dynamite or watching Collision don't know who that person is. And they're not promoting that person as if they're a star. So, right now, the stories aren't making a lot of sense. It looks like they're trying to get in that direction in terms of what we've had with Tony Storm and what we've had with, Swerve Strickland in certain stories. I'm not talking about the Ricochet one, but you're not building enough stars to sustain it, because eventually Jon Moxley, and God bless him, I really mean when I say it, thank you for sacrificing your body, but you don't need to do it. He's going to be in a wheelchair pretty soon. Adam Copeland has got a few more years. And what stars have you built? You're only fighting WWE ex-WWE guys with you. You're not building stars to take over. So when Moxley can no longer do this, who's going to be the next person to step in? It's not going to be Bryan Danielson, that little hypocrite, because he's not coming back to wrestle anymore. It's not going to be Adam because he's long gone. Who's going to be Wheeler Yuta?
Wheeler Yuta.
It's going to be oh man, I'm drawing a blank here. It's going to be
Adam Cole, baby.
Adam Cole. It's going to be Darby Allin. If he doesn't die climbing Mount Everest, who is it going to be? And that's the frustration I have as a fan, because I want AWC. Who is the next guy? It's not going to be MJF, because the way they're pushing him is going to be Adam Hangman Page. Show me the stars that I want to see and allow me to see them in that position. Can I see, one of those guys go for a title and it possibly happen? I know the crowd would hate, but again, that's my biggest frustration right now. You're focusing the success of your company on ex-WWE guys and women too. Not Tony Storm, but Mercedes Moné as well.
Or you can put a guy like Cope against an MJF for the title, or a Mox versus an MJF for the title, or whatever. I mean, just get the title off Moxley. That's all we ask. But yeah, Tony Storm, I like Tony Storm. I love what she did with Mariah May. I respect that. And Megan Bain, we'll see what happens there. There you have somebody there, Megan Bain. Let's build her up. Let's do something. I know you're pushing her, but is she going to beat Tony Storm at Dynasty? I don't know. But like I said, it is WrestleMania season. There's so much to discuss, man. There's so much time. But again, we want to make sure you guys give us a like and subscribe here on the Give Us a Shot Network. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode of HSP. We are your Give Us a Shot Network is the home of HSP. All your content of HSP is here. You can catch us on all podcast platforms. If you can't watch the show and you're at work and you're like, oh, another HSP episode is out, listen to us at work, on the treadmill. Listen to us. We are on Apple Podcasts, on iHeart. So you can listen to myself and the Trendsetter. And Trendsetter, we're on the road to WrestleMania. Follow us on all our social media, High Spot Podcast. We want to interact with you guys, so make sure you do that as well. And now, Trendsetter, wrap this up as only you can.
Guys, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the High Spot Podcast. I'm my tag team partner, Jeff Martin. I am the Trendsetter, Brian Berga. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. On the road to WrestleMania, guys, a month away, and a lot of questions still remain to be answered. And hopefully we get some of those answers as the weeks go by, guys. So we do this with you because we enjoy spending this time with you guys. We enjoy interacting with you, as Jeff said, because we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.
Can't see me.